time. And when you look back on our businesses, we were having a conversation, me and Kane, and one of the things that grieves me with our business, I'm gonna be transparent tonight, so don't get mad at me, okay? This is just me. One of the things that grieves me is that we see wonderful Black businesses form, great ideas, a lot of creativity, and then things happen. And when I say things happen, sometimes it's out of their control. Sometimes it's lack of understanding of what I needed to do. Sometimes it's lack of resources. And sometimes, let me turn my thing on. That's my little monitor telling me my sugar is under control or low. So let me turn my phone off. If I fall out on the stage, y'all can wait a second. No, it's no alert. It's just a little beep, but that's good. It's a little text coming. All right. So what I was saying though is that sometimes when we don't have education, and so it's easy to say, why didn't y'all do that? But if I wouldn't have went to law school, I wouldn't have understood how to read a contract. I wouldn't have understood all the things that come around. And so when you can give back, and I would be remiss if I did not recognize the wonderful Miss Crystal Gaynor walking in. Sorry, y'all. But I love Crystal. We went to law school together. We practiced together. She is a wonderful, smart, intelligent, successful Black business owner. She has owned the law office of Crystal L. Gaynor since we've been out of law school. And not only has she owned it, she has used it to help us that don't have an office to come and work and give back. And she is running for judge, y'all. Y'all vote. And it's the 325th, 324, 324. Family District Court, Crystal Gaynor. Y'all see her on the ballot. Tell your friends to tell your friends to tell their friends. Crystal Gaynor. And she is also the president of the Black Women Lawyers Association, who is also a sponsor tonight. And so we just wanted to say thank you, ma'am, for doing this. But what I was saying though, tonight, what we wanted to do was give back in this way. By giving you guys, those that in here that are business owners, those that want to be business owners, some knowledge and some tips so that you can be successful. And do not be afraid to get the numbers and call people if you need to take it further than today with some general advice. I'm sure they don't mind helping, and if they can't help, they'll direct you where you can go. And what I want to do first is I want to start out with Lorraine. And what I would like for Lorraine to talk about, Lorraine helps businesses, and me and her have joked, and we have talked about businesses that are formed. And I'm like, what they doing, girl? They doing that. And so what I would like for her to do, she doesn't mind, is just give me the top 5 things. I know you could do 20, but let's concentrate on the top most important 5 things that you see businesses do or not do when you are helping them form. And before you do that, if you can kind of give, how many of us in here are business owners? Let me do a quick survey. Okay, perfect. And then how many of us in here have a nonprofit? Okay. Do y'all consider y'all's nonprofit a business? Oh, it is. You should. That's a trick question. That's a trick question. And we're going to go over that in just a minute. Because a lot of people do nonprofits, especially churches. I help a lot of churches. They have like 30 nonprofits. And they don't be monitoring those nonprofits. And so them nonprofits, the little, what do you call those things? The little tax, what they be doing? They be taking the little taxes. They be taking your nonprofit status away. Your expenses be disappearing. And you be out there trying to get money on North Texas Giving Day. And it says, not a operating association, because I didn't check that tax form, but we're going to get there. But you need to treat your nonprofit as a business. So that was a trick question. Lorraine, if you can kind of give me just a high level, I'm just going to let you have the floor.
Okay. So I would say the first thing when we run into people who are either in the startup phase or they're trying to formalize their side hustle, right? Because a lot of businesses do start off as a side hustle. The first thing is I said biggest thing. Sometimes people say, I'm not making enough money to form an LLC. That is not true. If you can afford to have your personal assets levied, then, by all means, operate as a sole proprietorship and have unlimited liability. But I think most people realize that resources, no matter how much you have, are limited, right? They're not unlimited, right? And so I know the state is $308.10. I have it memorized because we do a lot of formations, but it's worth every penny of that $308.10. Because if you think about it, if let's say you have a baking business, for example, somebody gets sick, maybe they have an allergy they didn't realize, and they get sick and they sue you. you want them to sue the business. You don't want them to sue you as a natural person and come and get whatever assets you do have, right? In your personal name. So I would say that's the number one thing, frankly, is making sure that you're structured properly to mitigate your risk, and that then the second thing with that, not commingling funds. Business funds are business funds, personal funds are business funds. If you need to pay your car note and you earn your living from your business, that means you need to do an owner's draw, right, to your personal account and then pay your car, right? None of your personal expenses should come from your business. Some of the other things to watch out for is, especially when there's more than one business owner, is there an operating agreement? Because that can avoid a lot of hurt feelings and litigation costs later on if everyone knows in the beginning, how are we coming together? How are we making decisions? And if something were to happen, how do we want to separate? Right. So I would say those would be the top three. And then one last one. Once you form your business, even if you're, this is the thing about Texas, as everyone says, it's business friendly. Most states have a franchise tax. Some of them, no matter how much you earn in revenue, you owe franchise tax. In Texas, I think a few years back, it was like 1 point something million was the threshold to owe franchise tax. Now it's over 2 million. All that to say, don't be afraid of the comptroller's office. File your annual report, because if you don't, they will forfeit your right to do business, even though you owe no franchise tax. So I'll pause right there.
Can we take it back? I'm gonna be remedial. How did you said about an LLC, and then you said something about a sole proprietor? What if I don't know what the entities are? Can you give me like just a basic foundation of the entities? Which one is best? Which ones do I form? Which ones should I consider when I'm trying to figure out what's best for my business?
Thank you. So sole proprietor, the easiest way to think about it is, you hear people say all the time, oh, I have a business. I have a business account at my bank, and I went down to the county and filed my DBA. That's the easiest way to think about it. If you filed with a local authority, that is not an LLC. Any local filing that you would have done would not have afforded you the personal liability protection that an LLC or a corporation would offer. So if you filed with the state, then you probably have some sort of corporation or LLC. The big difference between LLC and corporation are the formalities required for how the business operates. Typically, especially when a business is starting out, LLC is going to be a lot more flexible. Whereas with a corporation, you have to have, shareholders meetings and different things like that. So it's just more formality involved. Also, the tax treatment is different. If you're not careful, you don't hire a good person to handle your books like an EA or accountant or a CPA, then you run the risk of double taxation because you didn't file the right election forms on your corporation. But if you have an LLC, the default tax treatment from the IRS is going to be pass-through taxation, which will avoid the double taxation. But I don't want to get too far in your area, and I'm not a tax attorney, so I'm going to pause right there.
No, that's good. That's good. Okay, I do have it on. So I get asked that a lot, when I meet young people and other people, and especially during COVID. I met so many people during COVID that were, how do I get the PPP loans?
Oh, yeah.
How do I get the PPP loans? And they were like, I started a business. And I was like, what kind of business do you got? I filed with the clerks. So it's a sole proprietorship. How long you been operating the business? You got your business paperwork in order. Because one of the things that I wanted to emphasize, I am an in-house attorney, so that means I work for a corporation. I do employment law, but before that, before I went to law school, I worked in a business. I have my master's in nonprofit organization and public service. So I'm very familiar with how nonprofits work, and I do a lot of discussions with different nonprofits as I can. And one of the things that you see with nonprofits, which is business, is that paperwork. Whenever you have a suit, when you get sued or somebody, these are the top 3 questions I get. My partner took off with all the money, or I don't want to work with them no more. How do I get out of that relationship? What do y'all think my answer is going to be? What does the agreement say? What does the agreement say? I want to terminate my business because I don't want to do this one anymore. I'm going to go do another one. How do I do that? What am I going to say in response?
What does the agreement say?
What does your agreement? Every document that you create, your operating agreement, Your nonprofit agreement should have all of that information in there. So that way you don't have to look. And if it doesn't, then you go by what the Texas Business Code says. And so I always encourage everybody to keep up with their paperwork, to make sure, especially with nonprofits. Nonprofits are my heart because they do an amazing service. Make sure that if you are a nonprofit organization and you have filed and gotten, because there's 2 steps to being a nonprofit. A lot of people don't know, they forget that. The first step is making sure the Secretary of State knows that you're operating, and you can file the form, I think it's 201 is the form number or something like that, with the Secretary of State.
Yeah.
Right, with the Secretary of State of Texas, it's the form, you can go online and do the 501. You're not done. Because after you do that, you have to then do what? You got to go to the IRS and you got to make a filing, and that's a lot of work because you got to give some finances for like either the past 3 or the 3 going forward. And you have to give an estimate, you have to give a description of the activities. And what I'll see is that we'll be very broad on, which is fine, when you file with the Secretary of State to give yourself room to grow. But then you'll form an organization that's a 501c3, but you're doing 501c6 activities. So you need to have an understanding of what did I form for? What was my initial mission? And what that means is when you file, they say, what is the purpose? What is your purpose for your organization? And you have to say it's for the purposes of, it'll say 501c3, there's specific language, and I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. We're not being recorded, so y'all can be very frank. This administration is not right. And they are just waiting to snatch up something. Just telling you the truth. Snatch away licenses just because they can. Right? So you don't want to have paperwork. I am doing community service work for young people and I'm serving them, but then I'm doing housing stuff on the side. And they come and something happens with the housing and they're wanting to review your paperwork and say, what are you doing with housing? That's not what you were formed for. So you have to be very careful. If I want to do something with housing, then I need to form either a nonprofit or I need to amend my statement. And so I say all that to say what Lorraine said is very true. What does my agreement say? What does my bylaw say? If people are leaving and they no longer my treasurer, their name needs to be removed expeditiously from all paperwork so that way everybody is put on notice that they don't have any rights to my money, my business. So if something happens, there's some scandal, they're not attached to my business because I removed them. Because if their name is attached, they're attached, right? And so you want to make sure. I always say there's an administrative thing. My husband talks about me getting in my car. He said, "You just get in your car and you go." That is true. I do. I don't check the oil. I'm not checking my tire levels. I'm not doing. I'm just going. And we form businesses and we have great intent and we just go, and we don't do the regular check that we should do. I appreciate Lorraine because she does a lot of consulting with businesses, and sometimes it's a hard truth. You got to make this adjustment, and if you can't do that for a monetary reason, then you have to reevaluate what it is exactly that I'm doing, right? And so that paperwork is very important. Knowing for which you are formed, the things that she said, knowing what entity am I doing. If you're a 501c, if you're a 501 or nonprofit organization, what am I doing? If you are a nonprofit and you are a 501c3, guess what? You can't be out there endorsing candidates. You cannot be out there doing forms, putting your name on documents. You cannot be doing that. They will come and they will get you. I hate to say that, but they will. So you just have to be careful on what it is that you're doing when you have a 501c3 for funding purposes, for all of that. If you have a 501c3 and you have another 501c3 and they are partners and you didn't fill out the paperwork and you're sharing money and giving each other gifts, there are some things you need to watch about that. And I'm not going to intrude on the expert here because she knows all about that. And so as a matter of fact, what I would like to do, I'd like to, because we talked about the top 10 compliance things that you've seen. I would like to know, Ms. Ray, what are the most common tax mistakes that you have seen Black-owned businesses and nonprofits make in their first year? And how can they afford it if they from day one?
I think the number one issue I see with, in particular, Black businesses and owners, new owners, is a failure to keep good records. Simply keeping good records. I'm old school, and you don't have to have QuickBooks, and you don't have to have expensive software. Just a ledger, income, expenses. If you don't know what's deductible or what records you need to have, you can always go online and ask what type of tax records, tax expenses are deductible, so to speak. But for the most part, to answer your question, record keeping is terrible. Record keeping, it's easy to make money in this country. The difficult part is tracking it. Because at some point or another, you're going to have to be able to present it to an investor, or someone you want to borrow money from, even in purchasing a home or purchasing a business. Your taxes are always, at this point in our government, going to be required. And it's very costly if you do not have your records because somebody has to create them. It's going to be required. And that's where it costs you. But it's a whole lot more affordable if you keep records. It's very simple for us to be able to prepare your tax return.
So let me follow up on that question with documentation and audit readiness, which I can speak from experience that she saved my life on an audit. For real. Like I wouldn't even be standing here. I'd probably be somewhere homeless. God bless her. But if a business or a nonprofit were audited tomorrow, what are the top 3 records or practices that they should already have in place? Like when we say documents, like besides the ledger, what are some other things that they need to have?
Receipts. It depends. Now, if you ever audited, you're going to be audited for either income or expenses or both. So in either case, keep records of your income. If you don't, your bank account's going to speak volumes. And you don't want it to do that. The IRS will only ask for your bank statements if they feel a need to. But if you have your bank statements, your invoices, if you earn some money, if you have your receipts, be careful with mileage receipts. Gasoline means absolutely nothing. Gasoline receipts, people have been saving receipts for 50 years. Gasoline receipts do not work. It's mileage. I recommend a software, an app. It's a free app for the first 6 months, I believe. It's called Mile IQ. Get that bad boy, and it's like $59 a year, something to that effect. But yes, keep mileage. It is at 58 cents, if I'm not mistaken, a mile, 58 cents a mile, and that adds up. But in an audit, they're going to want to see a mileage report, a mileage log, and they're going to want to see receipts of income as well as deductible expenses that you claim as expenses and deductible on tax return. That actually reduces your income. But those things are necessary. There is absolutely no way around it in an audit. It makes life easier when you have those things in place.
That's mileage, because I had to get that app. Cause
Mile out Q.
I thought my gas receipts was gonna work and she heard I love those. Okay, so let me ask you another question. Lorraine kind of gave us the business 101 foundation of forming a business. From a tax perspective, from what you've seen, are there any, like when your owners are thinking about LLC or like an S Corp or nonprofit status from a tax perspective, when does it make sense to either change the structure? Like, remember we were talking about they may be operating, they're like, I might need to do this.
Right.
How do you determine what structure you should have? What should we be looking at, in your opinion?
In my opinion, and I differ just a little bit from you, Lorraine, because from a tax perspective, I'm looking at certain things. An LLC is similar to me as a sole proprietor, other than the umbrella protection. And just the feeling of knowing that you have a business versus your personal, you want that separately. But I always recommend to small businesses when you reach a certain amount of income. In my particular case, it's about 100,000. After that's gross. And so that's when I always recommend things of S Corps. LLCs are okay. They're good to have. When it first came out, everybody ran to do it, and a lot of people are still doing it. It's a good thing. But I always wait until when I see a taxpayer who's around 80, 90,000, and depending upon the kind of business, it matters, I could recommend an S Corp. That's a different type of like C Corp. There's S Corp and things of that nature. But once I see a person's tax return and see their individual situations, because it varies, depends, then I will make a recommendation on whether you need to move on up to an S Corp or S Corp probably. or partnership, things of that nature, but that's standard to sole proprietors and LLCs, but it depends upon your type of income. If, in particular, if you are a self-employed, an attorney, let's say, or a physician, or someone of that type of background, then you don't have very much cost. You don't, you have, you can, in light of
It
taxation.
depends.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of like a free fall if you can manage your, your business and things. You don't have costs like maybe construction people or people who are in sales where they have inventory. So I would actually look at it and determine which direction I would go in terms of, but I'd wait a while. I wouldn't jump. I always recommend people cautiously start with sole proprietorship, maybe advance to LLC, perhaps. She may differ, but like I said, different situation. And then as we grow and progress, if we don't want the burden of the full taxation of all of our profit, we might consider becoming an S Corp. S Corps do not pay Social Security and Medicare. That's 15.3% savings of the VAT from the majority of your income, but you must become an employee of your company.
You got a question?
Yes, but I do want us to tell the people the difference between an S corp and between the taxation structures versus an actual legal entity structure.
Yeah.
Because people will always be like, "Oh yeah, I got an S corp," and then we have clients coming to, "Yeah, I want an S corp." I'm like, "There's no S corp on this SOS website."
That is correct.
Yeah.
It's a federal thing, and
Yeah.
you could probably best explain the S Corp when it comes to that on the taxation side.
Mhm.
Picture someone who has gross 200,000. Okay, very common. And then after expenses, they have $50,000 worth of expenses. So you got $150,000 profit. Here's the taxation implications here. When you combine the 150 and any other income you have, you're in a you're in a tax bracket that's higher than most or the norm. Okay, and you're paying taxes on the 150, the full taxation, whether it's 28 to 30, 31% or whatever your rate is, plus you're paying an additional 15.3% Social Security and Medicare. You want to do that, I guess, if you expect Social Security to kind of help you when you get ready to retire. If you don't want to pay the full 15.3% on the entire 150, then become an employee of your own company. And let's agree on a reasonable, fair salary. What you do may require $80,000 a year. We only pay Social Security and Medicare and regular income tax on 15.3 on your 80,000. The other 70,000 is just up. It's just the regular income tax at whatever rate you are at the particular time. Can you see the difference? You just saved yourself, depending upon where you are. You've actually saved yourself $10 to $15,000 by just making the election. It is a federal thing. It's not a state situation. You have to actually go to the IRS, file a form 2553, very simple, submit it, and I've been doing this for 40 years. No one's ever been denied an S Corp status unless, of course, they are maybe an immigrant or something to that effect. But it's rare.
I have a question. So we know that the economic climate is very fragile. And I'm a business consultant as well. So maybe you did 250 last year. Well, this year, things aren't looking so hot, but you already filed to be an S Corp.
Mhm.
Is it possible to go back from being an S Corp and take that tax status away and go back to just being an LLC?
So that's technically legal. So basically when to Attorney Turner's point, right? If you file with the state as an LLC, there's just a little nuance here. An LLC can be treated and taxed as pass-through, right? Which if it's one member will be taxed as sole proprietor, or if it's more than one, it'll be taxed as a partnership, right? Under the LLC under a K1, right? Or there is an election form you can file for your LLC to be taxed as a corporation. So that is another option as well, right? Without changing your entity type. Now, if you decide to change your entity type, to Attorney Turner's point, there is nothing at the state of Texas as S Corp, C Corp. It's just a corporation.
Mhm.
And then you'll want to work with your accountant to file the necessary election form to be treated either as default C Corp, which is double taxation,
Mhm.
or S Corp pass-through taxation. So to your question specifically, if you want to go back to LLC, that means you're gonna have to call your lawyer and convert the entity back to LLC.
Which is where that paperwork comes in, because it's almost like I'm starting over. And so it's not starting over, but like you said, it's a different entity. And so you just want to make sure that you can.
Can I ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
Why would a person want to go back from an S corp? You know, because of why would you?
Well, I've met some folks who just can't maintain
Mm.
that economic, that high revenue. So at that point, they can't continue to be an employee of their own business.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, I understand. I understand. It is a burden because you have to now deal with,
You have to stay.
you gotta be an
Stay.
employee. You gotta stay, you gotta pay the matching taxes, you know? And, yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
And so that just goes into the flexibility part, right? And so, obviously everyone's situation is different. We always tell clients, I can advise you all day from the legal side, not a tax attorney. You definitely want to speak with a tax professional about your specific unique situation.
So we have talked about this money, but we need help getting the money.
Yeah, my mic.
And so we are so blessed that you agreed to come and kind of talk to us. I just look, we need all the knowledge. And so I don't even have like discussion prompts for you. I just want to tell us what we need to do to get some money. And how I would like to phrase this is I would like to address the myths about getting money for business. I know a lot of people are afraid to even apply for loans for business because they're like, I ain't gonna get it. I'm gonna get rejected like I did this apartment. So, hey, I'm just saying, I don't want to ask for it because I don't think I'm gonna get it. What are the myths that are surrounding a business loan, like that you've seen in this business? You've been doing this for a while. Like, what are some myths that you can dispel from us to help us understand how getting business loans and how that works?
I think one of the myths, one thing that I would start with is that it is difficult to get business financing because you're asking somebody to trust you with their funds and then they're expecting you to repay it. So that's definitely a challenge. But I think part of the myth is that there's a lot of resources that are out there that are here to help small businesses. Most people, when they think about trying to access capital, everybody starts with they think they have to go to their bank. And I mean, I used to work at the banks. I know exactly how that operates and the mindset that is at the banks. And that's fine if you're able to qualify for bank financing. That's probably the most affordable. You probably get the best terms, but it's also probably the hardest to access. So that's why organizations like ours were created, community development financial institutions. We're all over the country, that we're all over the Metroplex. We're mission-based lenders. We all kind of do the same thing in general, but how our business models are a little bit different. Some of us focus on newer businesses and smaller loans. At Texas Mezzanine, we tend to focus on existing businesses and we do larger loans up to $2 million. So we're probably working with businesses that are closer to being able to get that traditional financing or SBA financing. And SBA is another option that you probably heard of. That's where the federal government, the SBA, they guarantee a loan that you would get from a bank or from a CDFI. And so there's a lot of rules and regulations that go along with that. But I will say that it's not impossible to get financing. The other, I would say, danger, I guess, is that in recent years, there's a lot of other lenders that have popped up that can process loans through the internet. Everything's done online. They can give you an answer in 10 minutes, fund you the next day. And then the next thing you know, you've got a payment that's every week or every other week. And so the effective interest rate that you're paying on that kind of money, yeah, it was really easy to get, but we see businesses that their bank accounts just get drained because they have to make that payment every week or every day. I mean, it's crazy. So I would say that, definitely you want to do your homework and research the options that are available. Look at different types of lenders. Like I said, look at CDFIs and like all the CDFIs, like I said, we all do things just a little bit differently. So feel free to research all of us and find out who we are and how we do things. And we're also here to be a resource too. So if we can't help somebody, we try to put them in touch with one of our colleagues or associates that can help. The way I got the invitation tonight was from David Adeola, who works for another CDFI. He used to work for us, and then he joined another CDFI, and he wasn't able to make it tonight, but he just called me, hey, can you come out and participate on this panel? And I'm like, sure, I'll help you out. I mean, this is kind of what we do in our, we don't compete with each other. Because there's more need than the supply of capital that we even have to lend. So we're here to be a resource. So feel free to ask questions. I'll definitely shoot you straight. Might not always like the answers I'm going to share, but I'll tell you, how it is. So
For those of us that are not as savvy, because you're saying a CDFI.
Community Development Financial Institution. It's a community development financial institution.
Okay,
It is a designation that we get from comes through the Department of Treasury. There's a CDFI fund. That's the agency that we kind of report to. And to be designated as a CDFI and to maintain our designation, we have to make at least 60% of our lending activity has to be in these kind of designated investment areas. It's usually census tract and is based off of census data. And the maps that we get come from the Department of Treasury. So 60% of our activity have to be in those areas. The other 40% can be anywhere to anybody else. That part doesn't matter. For us, we are always usually at least 90% of compliance. I think we do a pretty good job of focusing on the areas in need. But occasionally we come across deals that maybe aren't exactly like I have a deal I'm closing any day now down in Vidor, Texas. It's a housing apartment deal that we're refinancing. And Vidor technically is not in one of those investment areas, but this was an affordable housing apartment complex that one of the nonprofits down in Port Arthur actually acquired this property. So, we're trying to help them out, and they're already one of our clients. So, technically, while it's not in one of those investment areas, it's still something that fits our mission. And like I said, they're an existing client that we're trying to help out.
so y'all heard of CDFI. What are some other sources of, because you mentioned just SBA, which is Small Business Administration. And then we also know that, what are other avenues that you're aware of besides the major banks for business loans that may be unique or creative? This definitely, CDFI sounds like I wasn't aware of those. But what are some other unique or creative funding methods that people may not think of?
We've seen folks use crowdfunding to start their businesses, and maybe that's something that at least can help you get up and running. But as your business grows, you're going to need capital, and so you got to continually feed that engine. And so maybe you start that way, but then you see more capital, you come see somebody like us at a CDFI. There are, depending on the type of business or the industry you're in, a lot of like the technology companies, they end up having to use, it's hard for them to access even financing from somebody like us because it's all intellectual property. And as a lender, we like to see tangible things as that we can use as collateral. And so technology companies don't necessarily have that. So they end up having to go to equity investors. We kind of refer to those providers of capital as the patient capital, where they can invest the money and they can leave it in there for 3 or 5 years, and then they get the return when the company goes public or somewhere down the road when they get other capital coming into the business. Unfortunately, we're not that patient. I was telling this guy the other day, I was like, sorry, we're just not that patient. We as a CDFI, we work with our clients. We want to help them where they are today. We meet them where they are today, but we also want to graduate them on to the traditional financing, have them repay us so we can turn around and help the next person that comes along. We're a little bit limited in what capital that we have to lend as well.
So my next question for you is, when we are getting ready to go to a job interview, we get our little resume together, we got our little stuff together, our little outfit together. what do we need to get together when we're coming in to apply for a loan? Like, what do you recommend to have as a good profile for like getting ourselves together so that we're in a place to sell our business to someone?
Yeah, you definitely want to be prepared. I would definitely say you want to do that. And some of the things you can do even prior to coming in to visit with any kind of a lender, we're always everybody's going to ask you about your credit. So personal and business.
Personally.
So, like you may set up an LLC or an S corp, and that's who we would make the loan to your business entity. But we also are going to require you as an owner to be a personal guarantor on the loan. So you set those entities up for that corporate that liability protection, but when you're applying for business loans, we still want you to sign on there and personally guarantee the loan in the event that the business cannot pay it. So where your corporate liability or your corporate protection comes into play when you get to that point where you don't have to personally guarantee the loans. Got that? Negotiate that. So I would say, yeah, definitely want to check your own credit. You can pull annualcreditreport.com. I think you can get all three of the reports. They're all a little bit different. Experian, which is the one that we use, tends to be the most, I guess, conservative. Equifax is kind of in the middle, and TransUnion seems to be the ones with the higher scores. You probably see these commercials where people say, "Oh, yeah, hey, we can boost your score. Join our service or whatever." I mean, yeah, that can work temporarily, but after a while, whatever that service they're providing, that kind of drops off, and your score may drop back to wherever it was before. And so, timing is everything, and credit reporting lags about 60 days. So, as you're making your payments, it usually takes about 60 days for that history to actually show up on your credit report.
I just want to go back real quick to because you said that they look at the personal and business
And the
credit.
business, yes, ma'am.
So if you just started your business,
Right, the business won't have any necessarily.
Oh, okay.
They won't, not necessarily any credit history. Like we use Experian business credit reports. Dun & Bradstreet is another business credit reporting agency that you actually have to subscribe to. So it's a little pricey, but a lot of people a lot of lenders use Dun & Bradstreet reports. But you can also, you're going to establish trade credit with your business if you're buying your supplies from, somebody, one of your vendors, one of your suppliers. You establish credit with them. You can use that as a reference. When you're applying for loans.
So let me ask you, stand on this right here. Let's be honest with this, right? It's like when you're trying to buy a house. I can't go in there with a credit score of 580. Well, sometimes you can, but you can't. So when I'm with it, just be honest. When we go in here to the bank loan and we say we want to get a loan, and I come in there, I'm smiling. Let me know, like at what point will my smile crack? Or what's my that's in your average and your experience. Like what has been something that we need to work for so we'll know what we need to start next.
So if you're talking to the bank, you probably have to have at least a 680. I mean, probably higher. I mean, it's just the bank's operate.
That's a bank.
That's a bank.
Okay.
For organizations like us, CDFIs, some CDFIs actually will have a minimum. At Texas Mezzanine Fund, we don't necessarily have a minimum.
Okay.
But as the score gets closer to 600, then we're looking for something else that's part of the application to offset that risk. Maybe the cash flow of the business is doing really well, and just the owner has to feed. They're using their personal credit to keep the business going and feeding it. So they've got some slow pays, and their credit is, or they've got a lot of credit card usage because that's how they funded their business. So, we take those kind of things into consideration when we're looking at loan requests. Or if there's some very solid collateral for the loan. Collateral to lenders like us that's really designed to be the secondary source of repayment. So as you're preparing, when you're going to talk to a lender, but here's a helpful hint. So when they ask you, how do you plan to repay the loan? The answer you want to provide to them is that your cash flow coming from your business is how you plan to repay the loan. There are lenders out there that look at the collateral first. They call them the hard money lenders. I don't know if you've heard that term. Most of those lenders, they'll use real estate as collateral. And so they may not really care what your credit score is or how your business cash flow is. They're just interested in your property. And so they'll make you a loan based on that. One of the problems with that or the challenges is that if you don't pay them or get them refinanced in a timely fashion, they take the property back. We've seen situations, we've come in and done a few loans in the last few years where we've helped out for-profits and nonprofits who got that kind of capital because that was the only thing they really could access at the time. We've helped them get out of those hard money loans and just give them a little bit of time to kind of maybe stabilize operations and improve cash flow, and then they move on to some other kind of financing. So, but on the credit, again, going back to the credit, so if life happens, I mean, people go through, have crises, emergencies, divorce, medical bill, medical illness. There's lots of things that happen and can impact a personal credit score. So I would just say, if you're in a situation like that, just be upfront with the lender and then have an explanation, have like a little letter you prepare that kind of explains, everything that happened. Even if you have to go line by, get a copy of your credit report and go line by line. Just say, hey, this is what happened. This is what I did about this one. I worked out a payment plan on this one. If you're in trouble with the IRS, so I got on a payment plan here. This is what happened. I mean, we understand, at least at CDFIs and lenders like us, we understand things happen. So as long as you kind of disclose it all up front and tell us, give us the story. Because what we're trying to do and the way that we look at loans is that we're trying to figure out ways and we're here to be your advocate. We're trying to find ways to say yes, how to make the loan, how to make this work. What can we do that makes sense for both of us? In the bank environment, or, like I said, I used to be at, we were trained how to turn loans down. I mean, I went through a formal credit training program where they teach you how to analyze commercial business risk and how to turn stuff down. So, easy to say no, sometimes a little hard to say yes. So, that's what I really like about where I'm at now is that, we can get pretty creative too in the way we look at things. And we may ask you for some things that, you may not, you may wonder why we're asking for some of that kind of thing. But, what we're trying to do is find a solution and something that will work for both of us.
Okay, we had a question back, then I'll come back. Yes.
How are CDFI listed, and if I wanted to locate CDFI?
So I would, you could Google CDFIs, and that'll take you to, well, not exactly sure really, but you can put CDFIs in Texas, and that'll pull up a list of a lot of the CDFIs that are based here in Texas. And there's probably about 50 or so that are here based in Texas. There are other CDFIs that are a lot bigger, certainly bigger than us, and they have a national or regional footprint. And so they part of their service area is covering states like Texas. And so CDFIfund.gov, that's the agency that kind of that regulates us. But that's another place where you could go and find a list of everybody nationally. But you can start with CDFIs in Texas, and you'll see a bunch of us pop up on that list.
What's the best thing to look for when you're trying to determine?
So you want to consider how much you're applying for in terms of your business loan application, how long you've been in business, because there are some CDFIs that work with new businesses or businesses with less than 2 years of history. There's CDFIs that kind of specialize in the micro loans, 5,000 to 50,000. I know we are not good at that. We'll fully admit that we are not good at that, but there are some other CDFIs that are, can make those kind of loans. They're set up to do those kind of loans. So a lot of it's just time in business, how much capital you're trying to need, you're trying to access. But as far as what we all lend on, it's pretty much everybody is doing loans for working capital, inventory, equipment, real estate. We refinance debt. Business acquisitions, we all kind of do a little bit of all of those things.
Yeah, question.
It was just about the credit score and just, I guess, just overall. How does student loans? I've made every payment. Want to make sure I put that out there. I've made every payment. However, we got bachelor's, master's is in there. So how does that appear on your side as far as like people who have student loans and they are like paying on it regularly on time?
Well, so with student loans, I mean, depending on kind of where you are in your repayment process, because some people were able to get deferments on their student loans during the pandemic. And so now a lot of those are rolling off, and so the payments are starting up again. So we just have to, that's just something that we have to take into consideration when we're analyzing, cash flows available to repay debt. And just so you know, so when we were doing that, we make the loans to the business. Like I said, we also ask the owners to personally guarantee it. So when we're analyzing the loan request, one thing we do is we look at, can the business make the payments on the business loan that they're asking for and all of their existing business debt. And then we do what we call a global cash flow analysis, which is the business and the owner together. And so we look to see, is there enough cash flow coming from, if the owner of the business relies on the business as their source of income, we look at it that way. Sometimes we see business owners who they start a business, but they still got full-time employment elsewhere. And so they have that outside source of income actually helps them when they're applying for the business loan, because we add that other income in as part of the equation when we're analyzing the cash flow. So back to the student loan, so it just kind of depends on, we look to see where they are in the process, and if they are close to starting payments again, then we kind of go ahead and add that into the equation. Like if it's within a year of starting payments again, we'll probably go ahead and add what the expected payments are going to be. But if you're already making the payments, it shows up on your credit report. So.
One thing I do want to add, and I don't want to encroach too much on this. Some of the clients that we've worked with have mentioned that under the law that up to $5,250 a year is tax deductible for employees' student loan payments. So me thinking creatively, right? If the business owner makes himself an employee and then creates that benefit, then technically the business can help pay their student loans.
Straight out of good. Look,
I'm married to an accountant, so.
y'all got the business law and the accounting law.
So power.
Two step.
So repeat it though.
Well, one of the new tax deductions is, if your company can pay your employees student loan payments up to $5,250 a year, I think. And that's tax deductible. So again, depending on your tax situation, that may be a good thing or it might not make a difference. But I do think as a business owner, that's one less thing, or at least reduce how much you feel the pain
Right.
out of paying your student loans, outside of your paycheck from your company.
You are correct, because I know our company does some stuff with that. So yeah. So I recommend that you consult with a tax professional.
Amen.
To make sure that your entities and stuff is doing that. Again, disclaimer, this is general.
Y'all cannot go have a tax attorney. So if you are in a tax situation, he's an accountant, he's a CPA and a lawyer. He really loved to go to school. So if you do have a problem and you're in tax litigation, he can help you on our team.
I do want to go back to my friend here with the money, because this is really helpful. When we are looking at, one of the things too, when we're trying to get that, because I'm framing, when we're coming to you with our profile, right? How much cash flow, like how much should our business have already been operating? Because we can't, I can't open up a business tomorrow and then come in and say, hey, I need a loan. Like what do you recommend we see to help bolster that application?
So for newer businesses, when they're applying for business credit, we're going to ask you for a copy of your business plan, which will be the document. And just so you know, business plans are really, those are your plan. It's your document, your living document, hopefully. As a lender, we ask for a copy of that just because it has a lot of the information that talks about your business, your management team, your strategies. It's also going to have financial projections that show how you plan to grow your business and how hopefully your revenues are going to keep going up and your profits are going to keep going up. And that kind of demonstrates how you plan to repay a business loan. Like I said, it's a document that you own. It's your living document. But as a lender, we ask for those because it has a lot of the information already there in one doc that we can look at instead of having to sit there and kind of interview you for 8 to 10 hours trying to get all that information from you. You know, it's just easier for us to ask for your business plan. So for new businesses, yeah, you don't have the track record yet. So you've got to have those financial projections to show, you know, how you plan to get from here to there. And as part of that, you're going to show that from the cash flow, that the profits and cash flow that you have the ability and the capacity to repay the loan. For new businesses, that's where the SBA comes in, and a lot of banks use SBA loans for newer businesses because they don't have that, business doesn't have that track record yet. And so they will use the SBA guarantee as a way to offset the fact that the business doesn't have the history yet, so they can go ahead and proceed and make that loan. Lenders like CDFIs, we're like I said, we're a little bit different. We like at our shop, we first look at the historical information from the business, and best case scenario is that the historical information shows that there's the capacity to repay the loan. But if not, we have the flexibility to ask you for projections. We will say, okay, if we provide you this loan, provide you this additional capital, you know, how are you going to turn this into, how's it going to help your business? And so going forward, you know, what are your revenues going to look like? You know, what are your expenses going to be? What, you know, what's that cash flow going to look like in the future? And we can use that as a basis for underwriting the loan. So that's one of the good things about looking for alternative lenders like CDFIs is that we have that flexibility. I mean, like I said, the best case scenario works where your historical numbers work, but if you don't have the history yet, that's where the projections come into play. And please, and trust me, I've actually seen projections that an applicant has submitted that showed they were going to lose money for the first like 2 years. And we appreciate them being conservative, but that's a little too conservative. So I would just say, you know, and if you need help with those kind of putting the projections together, there is help that's available. I think you got folks here in the room that provide that kind of service. There's a small business development center that provides technical assistance. CDFIs, some of us are big enough that we have staff that provide that kind of technical assistance. So there's definitely resources out there to help you with putting your projections together if you need that kind of help.
We have, Ms. Bray wanted to share some information.
Yes, several years ago, and this is as it relates to funding small businesses. This may or may not help somebody, but perhaps it'll help somebody. Several years ago, I wrote a book called How to Start a Business Broke, because I'd started several broke.
Is that on Amazon?
What'd you say?
Is that on Amazon?
I can put it on Amazon.
Yeah, we got
I should have brought them. I actually do. But here's the deal. It's just a little importation, if it'll help you. As a tax preparer, I do bookkeeping as well, and I use a software that is #1 in the United States. It's called QuickBooks. And they've gone, this is just, I'm not recommending them. I am recommending them for some people. Because in our communities, you know, it's been struggle for us. And so getting that credit on up to 700-800, it could be difficult. But if you have a business and you have to have some type of record keeping in place, consider the least expensive QuickBooks software. There's 5 levels. Consider $29.99 a month.
That's right.
And consider utilizing it. It's online. Anybody, you can do it on your phone, a laptop, whatever. If you are consistent for at least 6 months to a year,
That's right.
and you keep your bank out of the negative, your account out of the negative, Intuit with QuickBooks will lend you. They'll start you out with somewhere up between $5,000 and $15,000 to $20,000 at a very, very, very reasonable rate, because they're watching your money come in and out, and I can determine, and not all the time is it based on credit.
That's right.
It's your business is established, and QuickBooks, their system keeps an eye on it. The reason I say that is because if you're new and you're trying to get started, And you already know the banking situation, you're not there yet. You got some things to work on. Start with QuickBooks. Put your books on, put your bank account and all of that on record. Let them see behind the scenes your transactions and build your credit there.
I wanna underscore what you say, cause I use it all the time. Amen, they line of credit.
All right.
Line of credit be lying. And the longer it takes people to get on the system, the longer it will take to access the benefits of the system. So if you, $25 a month, I really encourage people to utilize.
They will lend you money
That's right.
because they're watching, they're your bookkeeper, actually. I'm doing the work, or perhaps your husband's doing the work, but they are actually watching your progress, and they will send you a little bit of an email
That's right.
saying, hey, we'd like to loan you $10,000. Many times, I've been doing business for over 50 years. Try not to get in debt if you can. Try to pay cash if you can. Try places like thrift stores,
Right, right.
Goodwills. Try that's old school, ain't it? Marketplace. Things like that. But QuickBooks will lend you money. It's not, it used to be what we call a hard money lender. It's not anymore. You don't want to fool with a hard money lender. You have to have some good cash flow to fool with them. But consider QuickBooks Online. It's very affordable. Opportunity to learn how to watch your own books. You need to know how to create a financial statement. Because when you go to see this, my brother, he's going to want to see your financial statement. It's going to tell him what your company is worth. So foundationally, you need to know your money, know your finances. And it doesn't take $1 million. I talk to people all the time. They want to go, first thing you want to do is get a SBA loan, a loan. Not in the beginning. Slow growth is the best growth. You follow? In times like these, when we can no longer, it's not being recorded, we can no longer trust the system. Well, I have a podcast and I talk about it. Yeah, we got to be smarter with our money because we are giving it away when we can use it in our own community. We're going to get there. Oh, I promise you we're going to get there. But consider QuickBooks Online and learn yourself how to watch your money.
Yeah, I'm a piggyback off of my mom.
Yeah.
Y'all didn't know that, did y'all?
Wait a minute.
I know, girl. If you have a processing system, my office, we use PayPal and we use Square.
That's right.
And I opened up an email one day and Square was like, hey, we want to give you some money. Because of course they're tracking the income that they see, the money being processed. And so, that's definitely, when you're using those, cash apps and PayPal things and Square, they already are seeing the activity and the transactions. And so, and they come with low interest rates, low requirements, low payback modules and all those other things. And so, and if you're already using it, for me, if I don't see it, out of sight, out of mind, right? They're gonna take their money when they see that transaction go through. And so, it's a reliable source, a dependable source. You pay it back, and before you even pay it back, they're like, well, we wanna give you some more money. And it just increases and increases and increases.
Just be careful. Don't accept everything they give you.
I'm like, I have nothing to say.
That's open lots of no. Just be careful. It'll get you off the road. It'll get you into the $500,000, depending upon the max in your business. It'll get you there. So just get a
Real y'all, that is my mom. Like,
I know, it's
But
and
she gorgeous, not that Crystal like over in her mama's.
So I do want to say this. I want to add on because we brought this up, and I'm gonna be real with y'all. We just said we accepted. You said who might send you Square?
PayPal.
You said PayPal. What was the other one?
Right. Right.
And then who else did we say? We said Cash App. We said Cash App. Let me explain something to y'all. Okay?
I don't trust them.
When we did our one-on-one this at the very beginning, what did you say? To us? Don't become England funds. Right? If your Cash App is connected to your personal account and you are accepting your business payments on Cash App, are we commingling?
Yes.
I'm just the general question.
And for me, I have to say this, the liabilities.
right? Because, I worry about the security element of that. And if there's some sort of data breach or what have you, you know, you want to project to your customer that you are going to keep their information safe. And if you're using Cash App that's linked to your bank account or whatever, you know, I think one, the commingling issue, but then number two, how are you keeping your customers' personal identifying information safe? And so again, if you use one of these other services, that's what they do, they're a merchant service provider, they paid for the resources to have the encryption, to have all the different things that are required to be, for example, PCI compliance is one of the requirements. So just putting that out there.
Yeah, because if you're gonna have a business, and I think that's what we've all said, you have to present your business. And at some point, you have to say, this is a business, I'm operating a business, and you have to kind of step out there on faith and do the business. It's not Nikki no more, it's my business. This is my business. I have a lot of young people selling shirts and they're creating their little company. And they doing all this stuff, they got all this stuff they doing, and everything is Cash App. They got a Cash App credit card, they got the Cash App, they got a lot of stuff on Cash App, and I don't have nothing against it. I had to add it as a method of payment because my clients was like, my little side clients was like, I gotta pay on Cash App. Yeah, we take it. That when I get those funds, it's designated, and I have it specifically in there, I have them represented, and I am immediately sending that money where it's at. I'm not going to the mall with the Cash App credit card, right? Because that's my personal Cash App account. And I'll actually recommend, and I don't know how, if you are gonna consistently take payments through Cash App, I don't even know if you can designate it as a separate business. You can. It shouldn't be, yeah, because that's just commingling out the gate. And then with the tax situation now, they are gonna send you a statement.
Yep.
And if I am getting all of my friends, my homies, the paying me, I'm getting my people sending me money on Cash App, 'cause I asked for something. And all you got is ding, 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 you get that little statement at the end of the year, y'all gonna get them. Next Friday, you're gonna get them.
Go get them.
If there is anything that is business transaction, you know you're supposed to file that, right? A lot of people don't do that. And they done sold like 100,000 shirts, because I know. So it's some money somewhere that ain't being claimed, but then when you get that item, right? I just want to say, I know we got a couple minutes, I'm gonna let's ask some questions, but one of the things that I want to also stress, we talked about the business plan, we talked about being consistent, spending the money. Spend the money to get a consulting with a legal professional. And do it. You don't gotta keep it. You can keep them on retainer. Lorraine is great. I'm sure she works some now. I know other attorneys that do that because the goal is for you not to be using me, right? The goal is for you to be just making sure I am doing a healthy checkup. Is my paperwork right? Am I doing the right things? Am I filing the right things? Is there anything that you see, and especially if you have employees? I am an employment law attorney. Let me tell y'all something. You will get complaints from the workday, from not paying people. People pass, and then you're gonna get calls from wives and people telling you got life insurance, or they were paying and filing complaint. I'm telling you, I've been seeing it all, especially in churches. Especially in churches. So when you hire people to do administrative work, that's not Sister Sherry and they're working. That's Sherry, right? And so you have to make sure that stuff is done decent in order. When you got people working in the church, guess what? If they have a background, Gateway Church, I'm just gonna throw it out there. Great example with Mr. Morris, Reverend Morris. He had a background. The board knew about that background. They did not act, and that's why they're in a lawsuit right now. So you have to say, this is a business, this is my entity, this is my church, this is my nonprofit. So I have to do due diligence. And so I recommend that you do an annual, just like I go get an annual physical, I'm gonna get an annual checkup, and I'm gonna say, hey, is my business operating right? And it's also good to have business coaching.
Amen.
Business, I think we heard a business consultant in here. Yes, we did. They're great to have, because what they do is they allow me to see things that I can't see. I do not know everything. I get into family law situations, and guess what? Even though I'm an attorney and I can read, I call my girl right back there. If I got a probate situation, I'm calling Connect, because I don't do that, right? I'm not going to do something that I don't know. So if you are a new business owner, you do not know everything. I don't know how many of y'all are in here with the Bible, but I am a very firm reader. And what did we tell Joshua? You have not been this way before, right? And when you have not been that way before, you got to get the proper wisdom and the guidance. And that was one of the main reasons why we wanted to have tonight. This is just a sprinkle, right? There's a lot. I'm pretty sure everybody got a lot of questions. Hopefully this has been helpful. But I recommend that it doesn't have to stop here. You have some people here, you can take their cards, you can follow up. What I did want to do was 7:22, because I'm gonna be kind to the time unless somebody needs something and really needs to ask some questions. And we'll be up here at the end. But what I would like to do is I want to recognize the businesses that are in here. And if you would like to stand up and tell us what your business is and what you do. Because a lot of times we don't get to know what other people are doing because we don't know. So I would love to just spotlight you for like a couple of minutes and do a round table in here on people that do have a business. If you would like to tell us where your business, if you have a storefront, and if not, where your business is located, maybe what the name of it is, how we can find you and what you do. Okay, does anybody yeah, you should. Yeah, you come and get the mic, you wanna hear? Okay. Shine a light on.
All right, my name is Lene Gibson. I am the owner of The Blessed Hands. I do a lot of things under my umbrella. I do treats, I do balloons, I do birthday parties, I have table chairs, throne chairs, table linen. I pretty much do it all. I'm nervous, I don't know why. But it's really nothing that I'm just to toot my own horn, it's really nothing that I probably cannot do. But I'm very creative. I work well with people and all that good stuff. So do have some cards on me. So if anybody wants a card, you're more than welcome to have one. And I would love to render service to anyone. I'm here ready to serve you.
Yes, if anybody has there you go.
And I have done the L. Clifford Davis banquet when in the passing of L. Clifford Davis, I did his 100th birthday celebration. It took place downtown. Where I did the balloons and the whole setup backdrop. Also for the Young Leaders Leadership Academy, I do partake into that every year. I do the balloons and I do the treats for that as well. I did also have an honor back in November. I was able to decorate and serve all the funeral homes of the city of Fort Worth. So that was pretty awesome. So I was well pleased and happy with that as well. So that's who I am. I am.
Remember that.
What was it called? The round table. It was something I cannot remember the name of it.
I don't remember what it was, but it was real nice. It was
outside on
Ebbett Street.
On Ebbett Street. It's the round table talk, I believe.
What's with Break It Together?
Break It Together.
Break It Together.
I've also done a lot of things with Break It Together. My cousin, Miss Angel Williams.
This ain't about 2 weeks.
But that's it. So I do have some questions. So if you guys would like to have one, you're more than welcome to have one.
Girl, if anybody asks you for it, please circulate it around. That's what we need to do. We should all be elevating each other's businesses. Even if we do the same thing, because I might need some help. We can all partner up together. Y'all are adopting this lady into my other mama.
But that's my mama.
So I'm gonna go behind you, young lady.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I am new into your adventure. And so we are Pearls and Promises. And so we're an event coordinators. And so we do all types of events. We have 360s. We do small events like I'm going to do her mom's housewarming. We will do baby showers. We do anything and all things. Nothing is too small or too big. So we are all out to do anything that you guys are asking to do. And I would love to coordinate with you because you know what? This world's big enough for everybody to work together. So we're not here to fight with each other. We're here to work together. So I want your card and I'm going to give you mine. Thank you.
Look, I like these.
And wonderful.
Yeah. All right, yeah. Well, come on,
Yay.
My mom, by the way.
Oh.
I'm Diana Cato. I'm the owner of The Royal Touch.
Wait a minute, can I just say something?
Yes, ma'am.
You said that's your mama. If you look young and you already doing businesses, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm the owner of The Royal Touch. I do eyelash extensions. I am licensed, by the way. 1127 Oakland Boulevard. If you know what Rixie's is, I'm I do have business cards on me as well, so if you need a business card, just let me know.
She said, come with them eyelashes up for the or you go with the club. It's not about it. Okay, oh, hello.
Everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Service for the first time. My name is Jalen. This is Zion.
Hi, Zion.
I do many things. I'm also a coach and consultant to activists, space businesses, and nonprofits. My specialty is operations. And I also work at a CDFI. I work at Impact Ventures as a contractor. So I run programs to help businesses get capital ready. If anybody is interested in being a part of my cohort, I facilitate on Tuesdays virtually and Thursdays in person at the James E. Gwynn Building. So if you are interested, kind of like a full spectrum consultant, right? From operations to finances, I can do it all.
So project
Plan, all of that. But yes, that's me. I have cards. Yeah. You want to say anything? No? Okay. Thank y'all.
Anybody else?
Oh, bro.
I guess I'll go.
Come on.
I'll go ahead and round us out. Hello, everyone. Oh, Afro University Village.
Yes, okay.
Okay, oh, sorry, that's Jalen is Afro Community.
Yes, Afro University on Instagram.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, hello, I am Chelsea Davis. I am the creator and founder of Rooted 817. So essentially, I do all public relations, social media management, all the things, but I highlight Black and proud communities here in Fort Worth. So everything is full of fun. Shout out to the Dr. Shop.
Yes.
They were one of the first people. But yes, so I am Rooted 817 on all platforms, TikTok, Instagram. You'll see a tree and it has roots and it'll say 817. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for getting our content. Yeah. Oh, I like them.
Hello, how y'all doing? My name is Chantal Howard, and I'm a fairly new business, like the past month.
Oh, congratulations.
It's J828 Wellness. 828 is for all things work for the greater good. I lost my job 6 months ago, but I was working with students, and so what I've started is an organization to talk about anger management, court mandated, school systems, coping skills, life skills, and things of that nature for our community.
Oh, we got some. We got this. Oh, we got. Woo! I can get a video of you on those where. Come on, better not have you out here working those little things.
I'm Naya. I'm 11 years old, and ever since like third grade, I would have a bracelet business that I would do like every school year.
Come on.
But it'll be for a short amount of time, not the whole year.
Okay. So it's seasonal. It's exclusive collection. Exclusive collection. Okay.
Summer, spring, September.
Yeah, you know.
And it's custom made orders. So.
Okay.
The goodies that y'all haul, your block will be lit at school when everybody trying to get their screen orders.
Where you get this money from?
That's the damn bracelet business. Right, yeah, I'm telling you. You know what? I heard that the Girl Scout cookies got a whole little thing going on there. You got to pay for them in advance, and
Yes, you do.
I was like, what?
But we still money.
Yeah, but that's why I was like, my daughter's a Girl Scout. You got to be out there somewhere.
Thank you, Nadia, for giving me the courage, because I said, because you can do it, I can do it. Thank you, I appreciate that. I am Ashley Spriggs. I am the founder and CEO of I Am Her. We are a nonprofit organization that focuses on the mental well-being of middle school girls.
Yeah.
Please, please, please follow us on all social media platforms. Facebook is I Am Her. Instagram is I Am Her _becoming her.
Okay.
And then on TikTok, please follow us on TikTok.
Yes.
On TikTok, it's I Am Her .in.action. We are preparing for our second annual summer camp at the Bethlehem Center. But that information will be on there.
I just want to say, so I met her, y'all, this way. If you didn't get up, I was going to come right there and drag you up there. You know that, right? Yeah. So I met her at the community event that we did, the wellness event, and they actually, if you guys are looking to donate, do personal hygiene for young girls in school, and so they are collecting items.
We have some.
Yes, I've already talked to her today. So that's the president that I want to meet of Sophia Davis. We are actually, we did the announcement today at our meeting on the 24th. We're gonna be collecting stuff. So this was the one. She already got a box. But what I wanted to say was that they are collecting hygiene products for the girls. There's nothing major. They just want some chapstick. I think with deodorant in there, some maxi pads, and what else was in there?
Lotion,
Travel size lotion. Y'all, we take those from the hotels all the time.
They do.
So I would say that if you guys, when you look her, we do, because I know I'm homegirl, be like, it's ridiculous. But if you guys can look her up, follow her, please make sure we're donating it. This is very personal to me because young ladies today are really struggling with their hygiene. I don't know if y'all have been up to a high school. It is very. And some of that is because they do not have the resources to take care of it. Now, some of it is we don't have the same grandmas and parents. Yeah, that part. They go out there and watch them. Yes.
The hygiene projects is very
That's where she's
expensive.
coming. They are, but that's where she coming in, and that's where we can all come in. So if there's something tangible that you can help with, please. This is a very simple one because I was going, like I told her, I have told everybody I know, so I've met her because they little cute little black pouches too, and they're giving it out to the students. And so if you guys can make that collection and go to your people and do that on an ongoing basis. Like every quarter. Not quarter, I'm sorry, I said ongoing, so quarter. See, y'all help me out. I'm thinking of quarter on I'm sorry. Think about that, like once a month, or whatever, just like continue and do that. She does have a website where y'all can sign up, join and partner, and you can get like a reminder, because that's what I did. But I just wanted to say yes. And I met her, so that's why I'm not highlighting her out, but I was really moved by what she's doing because our young ladies right now, there's so much that they need. And so I'm grateful for that organization. So are there any of these? I love this. I love all these young people.
Okay, so first off, I want to say that it's funny that you said about the hotel traveling things because I've been collecting those to actually play, because it's placed in my heart to actually donate it to someone. I have a whole bag. I'm going to go, just randomly go downtown Dallas, like I have in other states, and just find homeless and just hand them out. But I've had some like bad instances where my grandma was like, "Don't do that." And I'm like, "Okay, great," but we're going to connect because I do have I actually started making a what I call hygiene bags, and so I put them in Ziploc baggies, lotion, shampoo, the soap bar, and everything. I collected them from the hotel. So
See, that was good.
Instead of throwing them away. But hi, I am Darnisha Davenport. I am known as Nisha. I am the creator and founder of iCurly, IKURLY. It is a natural hair and beard care brand. I developed it myself during school. Before my first semester, I returned natural, so I cut my hair off and I did the big chop. And products that was on the shelf was either too expensive because I was a broke college student, too expensive, or they weren't working. So I got in my mom's kitchen and just started making a concoction that elevated my hair. It was actually bigger than this. As of August, I had cut it because currently I'm going through a rebrand. And I want to start by saying the story of how iCurly was birthed. It was my out. Like, so with school and everything, it gave me peace to just go and do my hair. And I was just doing it for myself. So now that I get a job on campus under work study, people are coming up to, I was working in guidance counselor. So, like y'all checking in students and they got to get their classes and stuff. But I started being asked, like, what are you doing? What are you using? So instead of checking their ID to check them in, I'm found myself writing down sticky notes, my regimen, something that I was just making for myself. That light bulb eventually came on and it was like, okay, I have something that's actually for the community. So what I went to school for was to open up a group home because I needed me when I was younger. So it was like, I want to pay forward to the less fortunate. And then that light bulb came on and was like, no, God was like, no, this is where you need to be. And ever since then, I've been hitting the ground running until about 5 years ago. Grief and trauma happened. So this is me starting over. And so I cut my hair to start doing videos and showing back up on social media to show how, like I was before, growing my audience naturally, to show how iCurly works. So I have a 6-in-1 moisturizer that's for length retention, edge repair, edge control, moisture, hydration, and just longevity. So like in my hair right now, I have not applied my product for a week. I've just been going over it with my oil. Yeah, I'll just like when I go home, I'm just gonna grab the pieces and just retwist, probably spray a little bit with my hydration mist, and that's it. And then I'll either rock it with the 2-strand twist together or separate it. But I had them in a 2-strand twist is like my go-to.
You see who I'm looking, I'm not looking, I'm like,
Yeah, it's my go-to, and I kept it in for a week, and then to show up today, I untwisted it and I spread it out, and then I shake, and then that's it. But I also have a beard care, so it turned into a beard care because the guy ended up using it. He connected his beard, so then I had to separate the two because my target market is our women and our children. So I just wanted to introduce myself to you guys and
The
hopefully.
product, you didn't tell us the name of the.
She did. Wait a minute, and she said it's 6-in-1 moisturizer.
Natural hair moisturizer, iCurly hydration mist, and then there's the beard moisturizer.
so you said people are following you on Instagram, so I'm assuming you're on TikTok? Or
Growing that.
What's the Instagram again?
iCurly, IKURLY. It's with
Hey.
it's with a green background. And that's like literally my first logo that I created myself on Instagram, so I haven't let it go. Since then, it just reminds me of where I started. In the first year I made it an entity, I got into 8 stores. I was featured on ABC News, and it just went crazy.
About 10,000.
Yeah, it was at 18, but when
You
life happens,
it's
I
all right.
went
You gonna
away, and
triple
so the following went away. But I'm here showing up today and moving forward. For it feels like I'm starting over, but it's like no, I'm starting from established. But I got here because I need to learn. I need to go back over a business plan. I need to set that, and I wanted to learn how to grow business credit. Because I heard you when you said about you may need your personal credit. My personal credit is fine, but I'd rather use the business credit to also learn about tax and information.
I personally the blessings, and I can't wait. I'm not natural, but you'll make somebody.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I do, there's an online, I am online, www.icurly.com. I do ship. I create, I'm sorry, I make it all by small batches, all by hand. And I'm in this room because I need to figure out how to get $20,000 for the industrial machine I need.
Yes.
I've already been in consulting with the company and then also finding the space to house it.
We gonna get you on Shark Tank. We're gonna manifest that. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Come on. We are so grateful for y'all in this community, like, bro.
What we're doing tonight is so impactful. And thank you all for organizing this, and I love the panel. Thank you all for being here. I am Donna Craddock with the Doc Bookshop. We've been around for 17 years. Y'all too funny.
Yeah.
But I just want to, we're all about community, books, and culture. And so I just want to do a shameless plug for some books here. We all know it's Black History Month. We're celebrating 100 years of Black History Month. And so we did not begin our history in slavery. So if you don't have this in your collection, definitely pick it up. It's called The Royal Kingdoms of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai, and just some of the kingdoms that predates slavery. So, and then I think this is also necessary for young ones. Every household, I know Shannon, you have this one.
Yes.
And you know, she did a great job with this book, Little Leaders. She did her Bold Women, and she did the men version, Exceptional Men in History as well. And so I think this is a great collection. And then, if you all want to just a great fiction book that deals with history, we did an event with Rashonda Tate. Her book, With Love from Harlem, is a great book. It's about Hazel Scott. She was really a legend. Alicia Keys looked up to Hazel Scott because Hazel was before Alicia Keys on the keyboards. And she was also the wife of Adam Clayton Powell. So yeah, she has an interesting story. So definitely check this out. But it's, you know, it's fiction, but it's I love how a lot of authors are doing historical fiction based on real life characters. So I love that. And lastly, I just want to just mention that we have our Black History Celebration coming up next week for the children. So young ones, we got Nicole Collier coming. I got a few calendars up there. She's going to do, what we're starting is our Readers of Leaders series. So I'll be calling some of you all to come and read to the children. But our first one is Nicole Collier. She's going to read a book to the kids, Inventions to Count On. And she'll be here from 1 to 3 on Saturday, February 21st. So bring the kids out. And after her story time, we'll do some arts and crafts with the kids. Also, that's it. I don't give my little shameless plug. Thank you all for being here.
So, if all minds are clear, we're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna welcome, the president of the Elkington Davis Legal Association of Canadians to close the word. Okay.
Start with Crystal first.
Okay, we're gonna start with Crystal to get some closing words, she said.
I don't have anything, thank y'all for being here. I do want to shamelessly plug our host. This is a small Black business.
Yeah.
And they are always in the community supporting all the things that we're doing. One of the biggest things about starting a business is relationships that you have in the community. So people can speak your name when they hear people saying, I need an event planner. I need an accountant, right? So those relationships. And so I'm going to encourage each of you before you leave here, impart into this Black business. Or buy something, a card, a book, a magazine, a t-shirt or something. And 2, connect with somebody that you didn't know today. You will be surprised how you both can impact each other's business. And so I appreciate the panel, all the information that was provided. The beautiful young lady on the end, again, it's my mother, y'all. So if y'all need some tax information services, please go see my mama. I'm like Nikki.
Yeah.
We can walk freely without worrying about somebody coming to take our stuff.
You ain't never like, can I give a testimony on, can I give a testimony on your mom? Like, y'all think I'm playing.
Listen, let me say this. When am I supposed to lie? She was out of mine.
How you be sitting with your mom?
That ain't fair. And Nikki called my mom to come up here. I'm like, how did that even happen? She already gave your mom a name. She got firsthand. And I feel some type of way about it, Nikki.
No, your mama got her own relationship. And y'all, real talk, like I work in, one of the things you said, I have been blessed to be able to do certain law stuff on the side. It's nothing like being able to do your passions, but to still get paid to do what you gotta do. And that's the route I took, because I probably could have did it, but so long story short, I was doing like she said, I'm just doing my little, what was I doing? Gas receipts. All that fun stuff. I was doing it. I got a letter from Mr. IRS telling me, y'all, that I owed them because I wasn't calculating my money right, because I was just doing expenses. It's nice when you got a business, you can say, oh, deduction. I was doing it every year, just happily. I was doing it on little HR tax. Like, I thought I really was doing something. And they sent me this little letter and said, you owe us $20,000. And I said, oh.
They said, run that.
I remember I laughed when I got that letter because I said, ain't no way y'all getting $20,000 from me. But then I looked at that letter, it wasn't going away. So I still had to deal with that statement that I said I owe $20,000. So I forgot how we connected. I didn't know that was her mama. I can't remember how we found it.
I thought it was her.
Did you? You might have. And then I just said, but I didn't know you did that, is what I'm saying. We found out. So I gave it to her. She said, I got you. And I was nervous because I'm like, I started thinking about, you believe, but it's like, Lord, help my unbelief. And I kept saying, I can't pay that $20,000. I kept thinking about it. She said, I got you. And then I didn't hear nothing. She was quiet. And I was like, well, What we doing, Miss Ray? What we doing? She said, you want the good news or the bad news? Remember when you called and told me that? I said, what's the good news? I said, no, start with the bad news. And she said, the bad news is this is the end of our relationship. I'm like, oh Lord. But the good news was, how much I had to pay back? B.O.P. That I gotta check, y'all.
I know that's right.
I quit playing with that H&R Block and I said, I'm gonna send you.
He said that was
You know, you remember when you play games like that. Sometimes if you want to be with step with the big dogs, you gotta do what the big dogs do. So I had her help me out. I ain't had no more, they ain't called me no more because they know I can sticker on them. When she say she can talk to them directly, she be like, you hold on. I be like, yeah, sure, get them. But anyway, I just wanted to give that testimony because I know we people be saying, oh, she helped me. But I want y'all to know, like she really did help me. And she really did know what she's doing. And Lorraine helps businesses, and I am so grateful for you coming in here and telling us about the credit. I feel a lot better about myself.
Yeah.
I might be able to get one. With that being said, I didn't want to close it out. Oh. I mean, not Lorraine.
It's okay.
There you go.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kanae Turner Osborne. I'm so grateful that you all came out today, this evening. I know you had a lot of things going on because I believe it's also a candidates forum going on.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
It's a lot.
It's okay. But I'm glad that y'all got some knowledge, some gems. I definitely got some knowledge and gems during this conversation. And I'm a business, look, helping for my own business, working with a nonprofit I work with. So it's a lot, but I am grateful that you all showed up today. And I will put a plug. I believe our next event will be no. So our next event at El Clifford Davis is the Coffee Candidates in Conversation, which is Saturday, February 28th at Black Coffee, where you're gonna meet and talk to the candidates that will be on the ballot. Now, granted, I am an early voting type person, and I hope you all are too.
Yeah.
It starts February 17th and it goes to February 27th. But you can still have that conversation if you voted early with those candidates to see what they're about. Then March 3rd is the actual election day. But we are honoring a giant that is in our community, Judge Mary Ellen Higgs. That is a community event. Okay, see, look. We are changing the Black Women's Lawyers Association of Tarrant County now to the Mary Ellen Higgs Black Women Lawyers Association.
Oh,
Nice to honor her. So please join us. That is February 26th on the Thursday at the Tarrant County Bar Association building downtown. That is at 5:30. So please join us there as we honor a giant in our community. Once again, thank y'all so much.
Question, is RSVP required for either event?
We are encouraging.
Yes. For the Mary Ellen Higgs event, yes.
Strongly, yes.
Yes. Capital S.
Please follow us on Facebook at El Clifford Davis Legal Association and as well as the Black Women Lawyers Association of Tarrant County. We're on Facebook and we're on Instagram. Don't know those Instagram handles, but you put them in. Yeah. So thank y'all, and once again for our panel. Thank you, ma'am, for coming up with this idea. Yes.
I hope that it was helpful, and just so y'all know, y'all can follow me on Instagram or Facebook, Nikki L. Chrisman Green, a lot of initials. I have to step out because I am taking my mom on a Valentine's Day date, and I need to meet up with her before she be looking for me.
But we do have some snacks over there.
And y'all can stay and mingle if y'all have a couple of minutes, being respectful of the shops.
Okay. Thank you, the Doc Book Shop. Yes.
thank you.
They talk. Oh, y'all.